Good morning and welcome, everyone. I call to order this special business meeting on Friday, September 1st, 2023. I'm Susan Duffy. I serve as the chair of the commission, and I'm joined by Commissioner Keene and Commissioner French. On today's agenda, we have one noticed item, and it is in the matter of docket number 22 EKME 254 TAR. This is in the matter of the application of Evergy Kansas Metro Inc., Evergy Kansas South Inc., and Evergy Kansas Central Inc. for approval of its demand-side management portfolio pursuant to the Kansas Energy Efficiency Act, commonly known as KEA, which is KSA 66-1283. This is an order on Evergy's application and settlement agreements. And our presenter today is our Assistant General Counsel, Mr. David Cohen. Good morning, Mr. Cohen.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you is an order on Evergy's KEA application and settlement agreement. On December 17th, 2021, Evergy filed an application for approval of its 2023 to 2026 demand-side management portfolio and updated energy efficiency rider in accordance with the Kansas Energy Efficiency Investment Act, or KEA. Evergy's application consisted of 9 programs, 4 residential, 4 business, and 1 pilot program. Evergy's financial recovery would be broken into 3 parts. The first being program costs, the second being a throughput disincentive, which means recovery of lost revenue due to lower sales, and 3, an earnings opportunity, is a chance to earn a return on the program. Evergy proposed a net benefits earnings opportunity where if benefits were generated for customers, Evergy would keep 18% of those benefits. On June 27, 2022, the commission held a public hearing and received oral comments. The tone of the comments was overwhelmingly positive and supportive of Evergy's application and expressed a specific desire for the pay-as-you-save or PAYS program. On August 1st, 2022, parties filed 2 non-unanimous settlement agreements, one of which detailed the programs which would be offered, referred to as the program settlement, and the other which detailed Evergy's recovery or the financial settlements. The initial settlements included a reduced budget as compared to Evergy's original application, inclusion of a PAYS tariff subject to commission approval, a collaboration process with stakeholders, and budget guardrails. On November 15th, following a series of stays, 2022, followed a series of stays requested by Evergy staff and the gas utilities filed a motion for consideration of an alternative settlement agreement. The alternative agreement reduced the program budgets, the programs from 9 to 5 and had a much smaller budget. This order approves the initial program and initial financial settlement with modifications and finds they meet the Commission's 5-part test for non-unanimous settlement agreements. It finds the alternative agreement does not go far enough to jumpstart energy efficiency in Kansas. As I said, the order approves the initial settlement with modifications, and those modifications are as follows. A reduction of the earnings opportunity from 18% to 15%. During the hearing, parties testified that 18% of net benefits would be the highest percentage in the country, and a range of 5 to 15 was suggested. A downward modification keeps the EO more in line with other states while giving effect to the wishes of the settling parties. The second modification is the approval is conditioned on approval of the EMNV, which is Evaluation, Management, and Verification Methodology. The settlement only states that an EMNV methodology will be submitted to the Commission for approval. It doesn't really get a lot of details. The Commission issues the following guidance that there is a strong preference for a measured savings as opposed to deemed savings approach, and that data from smart meters should be used in finding measured savings. The third modification is that no direct ratepayer funding for fuel switching. An example of fuel switching would be if someone used KEA rebates to replace an older, inefficient gas furnace with a newer electric furnace. So replacements using this program will have to be on a like-for-like basis, which means using the same fuel source. A fourth modification requires a report within 60 days from staff and Energy regarding federal funding guidance and whether federal programs such as the Inflation Reduction Act require modifications to this order. A fifth modification is that clarification of the original settlement. The settlement states that the commission will review and approve pays. This clarifies that the commission will review, but does not consent to approving a pays tariff sight unseen. Sixth condition is that at least 12 months prior to any application to renew or extend Kia, Evergy will provide the commission with a workshop update on expected changes and savings realized by customers thus far. And final condition is a practical one, and that's an updated timeline. Evergy's original application took place in 2021 and was set to run from 2023 to 2026. Given that we're more than half done with 2023, an updated timeline will be required from Evergy and staff. I know that was really bare bones. There's a lot to this order, but I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. I will first turn to Commissioner Keene for questions or comments. Commissioner Keene.
Thank you, Chair Duffy. Thank you as well, David, for that overview. I think it was fair. There's a lot here to consider, and I think you did a great job of summarizing it. I do have a few brief comments I would like to make this morning. In effect, as Mr. Cohen alluded to, this docket has entailed extensive commission deliberations. That has included 2 lengthy public hearings, and all of this basically over the course of 2 years. What all of this deliberation now boils down to is that the commission has before it 2 quite different energy efficiency program alternatives from which to choose. One option being significantly more expensive and costly to Kansas Evergy ratepayers than the other. In my opinion, for Kansas Evergy ratepayers, the opportunity costs associated with the commission's choice of the more expansive of these energy efficiency alternatives are unnecessarily high and expensive. For this reason, I am dissenting from this commission decision and choice.
Thank you, Commissioner Keene. I'll turn next to. I'm
finished.
sorry. If you have more. All right. Are you still there? All right, there you go. All right, please continue. I apologize.
I'll let you know when I'm finished.
All right.
Thank you. Okay. In lieu of the commission's choice, my preference was for a cost-effective demand-side management energy efficiency proposal that provided substantial benefits to Evergy ratepayers at a significantly lesser cost. The alternative I supported, I believe, more specifically enabled immediate, rigorous auditing standards and more directly and immediately addressed eliminating the possible state-level duplication of a wide array of incentives contained in the Federal Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA. In the grand scheme of energy demand and usage, energy efficiency is of critical importance. Implementing truly cost-effective energy efficiency programs is an important component of energy demand-side management in Kansas. However, to most effectively accomplish this objective, I supported approving an alternative settlement agreement proposed by Commission staff, Evergy, Kansas Gas Service, Atmos Energy, and Black Hills Energy. This alternative settlement would have implemented 5 of the 9 energy efficiency programs initially sought by Evergy, and it would have produced, I think, a robust, cost-effective energy efficiency program that provided approximately $45 million of demand-side programs in Kansas over a 4-year period. As the KCC staff has testified, if selected, the alternative settlement would have implemented a demand-side program for less than half of the incentive level of the option chosen by the commission majority, and in the process would have more efficiently utilized ratepayer dollars. Evergy, which under state law has a form of a veto over energy efficiency programs, had indicated its willingness to adopt either the alternative settlement approach to energy efficiency and DSM programs or the settlements that are approved today by the commission. The alternative settlement I was favoring, I believe, focused on the most consequential energy efficiency programs. That would be demand response, education and low income programs, and cost effective demand response programs that all create value for utilities and that their customers, and are increasingly acknowledged and used to support grid reliability within the Southwest Power Pool and throughout the United States. In addition to providing substantial cost savings to ratepayers, the alternative settlement also contained more rigorous and exacting auditing standards and methodologies to more precisely measure, evaluate, and assess the actual lost revenue to Evergy from implementing the demand side programs. Specifically, to enable greater ratepayer cost savings, the alternative settlement contained a more rigorous accounting and auditing process that relied on site-specific data to determine energy savings enabled by the demand side programs, thus allowing the Commission to adopt demand side programs while simultaneously permitting the ongoing evaluation process that accounts for the impacts generated by the Federal Inflation Reduction Act. While the Commission order requires that its chosen energy efficiency approach uses a robust and modern auditing methodology, the order fails to offer sufficient detail or guidance regarding the minimal standards that methodology would utilize and in the process created for me concerns about whether it was as rigorous as those provided for in the alternative settlement. The overall costs to Kansas ratepayers associated with the settlements approved by the Commission today are, in my opinion, unnecessarily excessive, especially in light of the authorized and anticipated federal funds known to become available to advance many energy efficiency goals under the Federal Inflation Reduction Act. As identified and listed within my dissenting opinion, the IRA specifically establishes numerous and expansive new energy efficiency programs. Many of these federal programs will overlap and exceed measures being sought by Evergy in this docket. Adopting the more limited scope and cost-effective alternative settlement I supported, I believe would have permitted the initiation of 5 significant and focused demand-side programs while providing the Commission with the time to more fully evaluate and assess the impact of the IRA. Included within those 5 programs are home and business demand response programs, hard-to-reach homes programs, home and business energy education programs. In my opinion, at this time, it is premature to adopt the expensive programs encompassed within the settlements approved by the Commission, and thereby risk causing Kansas ratepayers to incur substantial and potentially unnecessary or duplicative costs through Evergy's energy efficiency programs before having an opportunity to fully comprehend and implement the scope and breadth of the array of federal funding options available for similar programs. Indeed, the scope of the IRA's energy efficiency coverage and its impact on Kansas is illustrated when the Kansas-specific impact of just 2 of the many IRA energy efficiency rebate programs are analyzed in detail, as I have noted in my dissenting opinion. For example, 2 rebate programs that total over $105 million for Kansas would obviate to some extent the need for the more expensive and expansive approach the Commission has approved today. And these 2 rebates are in addition to numerous other energy efficiency tax credits and other rebate programs available to Kansans under the federal IRA. While the Commission acknowledges that federal funding opportunities may exist under the IRA and directs Evergy and the staff to report these opportunities to the Commission within 60 days of the date of this order, the order fails to specifically analyze the known impacts of the IRA on the terms of the settlements it approves It fails to evaluate the effects or consequences of the IRA on energy efficiency or DSM programs generally. And it fails to evaluate the known effects of the IRA on the implementation costs of the settlement it approves versus the least costly alternative settlement. By deferring to future reports from staff and Evergy, and by approving the settlements without specifically analyzing the impact of the IRA, I'm concerned that the Commission may be ignoring the substantial and diverse energy efficiency benefits provided by the IRA in conjunction with the less expensive settlement alternative, benefits that would produce effective, less costly, and more manageable outcomes for ratepayers. Two important facets of the financial recovery portion of the settlements approved today by the Commission, in my opinion, provide unnecessary, excessive, and flawed revenue benefits to Evergy shareholders at the expense of Evergy ratepayers. In sum, the Commission approved settlements provide Evergy with what I believe is an excessive earnings opportunity and a flawed throughput disincentive mechanism. These matters are more thoroughly considered and analyzed in detail in my dissenting opinion. However, one of these matters, the earnings opportunity, I believe deserves special note. Earnings opportunity is the authorized profit margin for a utility's shareholders to compensate them for lost profits from the implementation of DSM programs. The energy opportunity is ultimately paid for through utility rates. So the higher the earnings opportunity, the higher the rates paid by Kansas ratepayers. The earnings opportunity proposal approved by the Commission, by the order of the Commission today, I believe is excessive compared to the earnings opportunity allowed in other states and the earnings opportunity that a regulated Kansas utility receives by investing in alternative or traditional infrastructure. Evergy initially requested an earnings opportunity that would have allowed it to retain 18% of net benefits associated with the DSM portfolio, as Mr. Cohen noted. This would have equated to between $18 and $22 million of incentives for Evergy shareholders over 4 years. In lieu of this Evergy 18% of net benefits suggestion, today's Commission order approves an Evergy earnings opportunity of 15% of net benefits, still among the highest earnings opportunities in the country. Kansas ratepayers should not be compelled to pay close to the highest energy opportunity in the country in exchange for access to Evergy's DSM portfolio. In comparison, the earnings opportunity contained within the alternative settlement approach I preferred was approximately 1/2 of the amount the Commission has approved today. In sum, the alternative settlement would have resulted in significantly lower rate impacts to ratepayers, with program costs approximately 63% lower than the settlements approved today by the Commission. The combined ratepayer share of these incentive costs under the alternative settlement I supported would have been half the amount of these costs as authorized by the settlement again approved by the Commission, a substantial long-term savings opportunity for ratepayers. Generally, the public interest is served when ratepayers are protected from unnecessary costs, discriminatory prices, or unreliable service. In this regard, the alternative settlement, to which Evergy is also a signatory, would have been, in my opinion, a better way to advance the public interest. In all of these matters, I have honest yet major differences with the majority. I want it to be noted without question that I fully respect these differences, and I fully respect the opinions of the majority. However, for the reasons that I have stated, and as more fully set out in my dissenting opinion, I must respectfully dissent from the Commission order today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Keene. I will now turn to Commissioner French for comments or questions.
Thank you. No questions. I think I know what's in the order. I do have a few comments. I will first just let me say I appreciate and respect Commissioner Keen's view. I want to earnestly say that many of the concerns that he expresses were concerns that I believe Chair Duffy had, and that we needed addressed in any final order. But I've ended up at a different place with respect to the final order, and I will be voting to adopt the order. My perspective all along in this docket was that the legislature set policy on energy efficiency nearly 10 years ago. And since that time, Kansas customers have been telling us that they want and need these types of programs to help them control their bills. So instead of falling back into the same old comfortable regulatory construct that stifled efforts to deliver these programs in the past, my approach has been to start with an expectation that we will deliver a full suite of energy efficiency programs to Kansas customers. And of course, the role of the regulator is to make sure we've set up the guardrails to ensure that happens consistent with the public interest and just and reasonable rates. So to be clear, our action today will deliver a broad and impactful portfolio of energy efficiency programs. But we're placing a number of very consequential conditions on our approval. Most notable to me and relevant to many of Commissioner Keen's comments is the requirement for greatly enhanced evaluation and measurement of program impacts. This condition is vital because the results of the evaluation process impact future benefit cost analyses, calculation of lost revenue, Evergy's earnings opportunity, and it will influence the utility's incentives to implement the programs in a manner that maximizes real-world savings. And to speak directly to Commissioner Keen, I know it's not going to draw you over to my side, but I know you had some comments about uncertainty about how robust this EM&V will be and what will require when something is brought back to us. My expectation, just to speak directly here, is that the EM&V laid out in the alternative settlement is a floor. That is the absolute minimum, and I expect, frankly, I'll be disappointed if that's all I see. I expect to see something more responsive to our comments in the final order and something more robust, because I think EM&V is the guardrail and the linchpin that makes this whole thing acceptable for customers. I don't think there was much difference among the commissioners, as I said, and our concerns in this docket. I just think the majority was absolutely determined to address the deficiencies we saw in those initial settlements so we could make this wider portfolio of programs available to customers. And finally, I want to make clear that we listened to the public in this proceeding, and they overwhelmingly told us that they wanted and needed these programs. In all my years working inside and outside the KCC, I don't recall the public commenting so forcefully and in unison on an issue. The public input was very overwhelming that customers wanted to access these types of programs for a variety of reasons, most notably to take back some control over their utility bills. It's personally frustrating to me that the commission is often very restrained in its ability to respond to the public, usually by legal requirements and for good reason. But this case provided the commission wide latitude to exercise our discretion in determining the best way forward. And the public comments were very helpful to guide our view of the public interest and what needed to be done. I think the commission over the past few years has made some pretty enormous strides to drag our state out of the past and into a more advanced posture toward energy and utility issues. Today's order is just one more consequential step that will be followed by more to make sure Kansas is leading rather than left behind in the energy arena. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. I have comments as well. And first of all, Commissioner Keen, I too respect your position and where you are. When the alternative settlement agreement was proposed, I gave it a very, very hard look because of concerns I had with the original proposal. And it appeared enticing. But let me just share that the initial settlement offer would, according to testimony, save ratepayers approximately 243,000 megawatt hours of energy and 246 megawatts of demand compared to just 19,700 megawatt hours and 163 megawatts. That is not it's like night and day difference in the robustness of the programs, because with our recommendation here today, there are 9 programs, including PAYS, which I would agree. I was shocked and surprised at how strongly people were aware of it and how they supported it. And during the public hearings and also during we had a kind of a group that was a group-led discussion about energy efficiency conducted by Wichita State University. There was real support for these programs. If I could, from our order, I'll read. Nearly 10 years ago, the Kansas legislature and governor set state policy promoting the establishment of cost-effective energy efficiency programs. At that time, it became the policy of this state to help utility customers use energy more efficiently and in a manner that sustains or enhances those customers' incentives to use energy more efficiently. Since the enactment of this policy, the state has made little progress toward its aspirations and instead has become known for regressive treatment of energy efficiency benefits. Kansas competes against other states in many ways, and one competition it is losing is the provision of cost-saving energy efficiency tools to utility customers. The intent of this order is to implement the goals of our state's highest policymakers and ensure those Kansas residents and businesses with the greatest need to control their bills and that they have the option to do so. Just this week, I was in Missouri and listening to them pat themselves on the back for 10 years of energy efficiency programs. They were able to document the actual megawatt hour savings, and they believe they have, as a result of their programs, really cost controlled on infrastructure building. We need all tools in the toolbox. We need robust set of tools. The PAYS program is one of those. Concerning evaluation, measurement, and verification, Commissioner Keene is correct. This is extremely important and a valid concern, and I think all 3 of us shared that. I believe with our order, as Commissioner French has stated, we have set the floor for what our expectations for not deemed savings, but measured savings. And there is a difference there. And also the meters that were installed throughout the state and Evergy's territory can now be used to actually track the savings. Finally, on federal funding, again, just coming from a meeting where the EPA came and briefed us, most of the guidance on the IRA grants have not been released. And when they do, the timeframes will be very short. We want to ensure through this order, and I believe we have, that we are taking full advantage of any monies offered through the state of Kansas, either through the utility or directly to homeowners and business owners, their opportunity to be a part of this. So I believe our order speaks to this, and it does not, it will be complementary, and we will be very aware of how the federal dollars fit in with the utilities program. This has been a long time in coming, and for that I am disappointed it took so long. But a lot of that is because so much evaluation went into it by each individual commissioner to make sure that we were making the best decision. At this point, we need to jumpstart energy efficiency, not lackadaisical, leisurely, slow implementation. We need to hit this hard because it matters to every ratepayer that they have an opportunity to control their destiny through these programs. I thank the staff that worked so hard on the order, and I believe going forward, again, the ball is now in the utilities court. They can walk away from this order. They can say, we're taking our application and we're going home. I hope that is not the case. I hope they understand the need in the state of Kansas and that they accept this order and work with this to ensure its implementation. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the order.
Chair Duffy, I move we approve the proposed order in this docket.
I will second the motion. All those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No,
And would you like to be recorded as a no vote
yes, please.
with your dissent as well?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, the motion has passed. And that is the only item on our agenda today, unless any either commissioner has a comment or would like to add something else. Seeing
Yes,
none,
Chair
Yes.
Debbie, I thank you for that opportunity. I didn't mean to be negligent in this respect at all. I would certainly join with you and Commissioner French in commending our staff for the hours and the time that they've put into analyzing all of the various alternatives that were to come before us and all the implications and consequences that ensue. It was quite a laboring oar that they picked up, and our collective gratitude, I know, goes out to them. Thank you very much.
thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Commissioner French.
Second.
There's a motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes. We're adjourned. Everyone enjoy the holiday weekend. Thank you.